This is Dabu7. We've asked the question many times, what happens when the lights go out? Well, we're focusing in on just that because, in my opinion, this is the most critical type of situation that can happen, whether it be by accident, Mother Nature, or done in an attack. It is an event that will cripple this country, or has the potential to cripple this country in this day and age. And if we're talking about just a Carrington type of event, we're talking about a solar storm or the sun unleashing a flare that affects the power grid of this planet. I want to talk a little bit about the things that it's going to affect in this video. I want to talk about some of the things that we can do to try to survive it. And if you've missed it, I've put out several videos already in terms of surviving such an event, and have even recently shown some footage of testing different stuff on a solar generator. That way you know how much power you're consuming and what to expect when the lights go out. And we really need to be planning for something long term. And when I say long term, I'm saying at least a year. You need to have yourself in a situation where you have enough food to last you throughout a whole growing season, meaning that you're not going to be able to rely on much of anything else when it hits the fan except for what you have stored away. Now, many different things are going to happen in a situation like this, and what I want to focus on is really like a month or more without power, because certain things will happen within that window. Parts of society will start to break down. Whether they recover or not is yet to be seen. But what we also have is other people in other areas out here across the country planning for such an event. I've talked about the government holding big drills before, different agencies. Now we have the state of Wisconsin taking the initiative and planning a massive drill coming up called the Dark Sky event. They don't sugarcoat it. They cut straight to the chase, and they say, look, this is going to come from someone attacking our infrastructure. And this is what we're going to do to survive it. So what I'm looking to do is get up there and film this event to interact with the people on the ground, the locals, the emergency responders, any other people participating, to see what the plan is for surviving such an event. I mean, troops are going to be going door to door. There's things that are going to happen on the ground, and in this situation, we're actually going to be able to see how they're going to react, how the military is going to react in this type of situation. Now, in a real world situation, it's going to be way more tense. You're going to have people freaking out, injuries. Obviously, it's going to be a lot larger scale. Any emergency services are going to be spread thin. And it's really going to be interesting to see how they're going to handle this. I'm going to relay that information as we get it. But in terms of what you can do to start to prepare yourself, you got to have a plan. The top tier when it comes to a survival situation is this. You can try to survive or have a plan for surviving a tsunami, a hurricane, an earthquake, massive storm system, flooding, things of that nature. But to have a plan to survive a lights out situation where all of society is breaking down, really it's a worst case scenario. So you want to plan for the worst and hope that you can surpass it, overcome it. And right now, in my opinion, is the time to do so. I'm not seeing enough being done across the country in terms of planning for this. And why I say that is because we all know we have a failing, super old infrastructure in this country, that even if some of the main points of our power grid were to get fried, the parts come from other parts of Asia and would take months to get here. What happens if they're coming from China and we're in a tariff war with them? You think that they're going to be quick to get those parts on the boat and to us? I don't think so. These are things we're going to have to plan for. I can't help but think that shifting to solar, wind, and a more greener, more efficient type of plan is going to help you in the long haul. It's not a question of if, but when. Even Janet Napolitano came out and said that. She didn't say if, she said when. She said it will happen. before she left office. It was one of the last ominous warnings she put out, that the lights will go out in this country. We've seen several movies come out since then, like Amerigeddon, that are showing just that event. The National Guard troops being sent door to door, being told to round up people until what happens? They wake up in the movie and they realize that their higher-ups sold them out and they're working with the blue helmets. That's right, blue helmets. So there's going to be phases to this. In a real-world type of situation, when the lights go out, we're going to need each other. There's going to be plenty of chaos. There was a movie that was put out here recently. Well, it was in 2011, I think it was. It was called The Carrington Event. And there's actually a clip of it at this link that I'll leave below. So you guys can watch and see, just get kind of a feel of what's going to happen as soon as the lights do go out. Now, solar power, wind power, having a plan there is key. And I'm going to cover this stuff in upcoming videos, focusing in on the step-by-step of all of this. It'll be part of my survival tactics series that I'm going to be continuing. And this would literally put us in a setting like the 1800s. Little house on the prairie. Except it's not going to be like that. Reason being is this. Little house on the prairie days, everyone was accustomed to living like that. These days, people are not. So right out the gate, within the first 30 days, the zombies are going to come. They're going to take over the streets. Civil disturbances will break loose all over the place. And it will literally be a time where I believe the governments and everyone else will step back and let them call each other. Kill each other off right there in the streets. And they won't even get caught up in the crossfire. They'll let everyone do the dirty work for them. This is what you need to avoid. It can be avoided. But there's going to be a panic. Think about it. There's going to be people rushing to Walmart, rushing to the stores, clearing out the shelves, getting the last bit of fuel. Then it comes down to protection. If you've got a big piece of property where you're growing your stuff, you've got your hogs, you don't think some starving people are going to end up coming up over the ridge? Yeah, they're going to. And then it's going to become a battle to protect yourself. You can't do everything. You're going to find out in this situation that your power is going to be in your numbers. And at that point, I hope you have some history under your belt and you know what they went through in Boonesboro and all these other places, what happened throughout the Civil War, and what it's going to take to win this type of situation. And let's not forget, as people are down on the ground fighting it out and others are waiting for help in other places, there's going to be drones flying over us. That's right, that wasn't happening in Little House of the Prairie days, but there's going to be drones observing the situation. The chaos on the ground, you betcha. You betcha. You better never forget it. They'll be observing the chaos all over the place. Don't forget it. Because it's going to be an eerie feeling when this situation does unfold and people start to see these things. It's not going to feel like America anymore. It doesn't feel like America anymore to me anyway, with the way we've been sold out. But sticking to survival here, guys, you have to ask yourself, what is your local community doing? What are you doing? If the government or others are not wanting to take the right steps in your area to get you prepared, I suggest you do that. Like I said, I'm going to continue to cover this stuff, but I want you to think about this. A solar storm, any type of EMP event can cause a domino effect. There's really three different types of classifications, an E1, an E2, and an E3. The E3 is like a solar storm. E2s to E1 can be like an EMP from a device being detonated. And there's going to be plenty of things that go down in the situation. Okay? Domino effect. There's going to be economic collapse, dehydration, starvation, fires raging unchecked, looting, lawlessness, violent civil unrest, homelessness, disease. You're going to have to be prepared with all of this stuff, and it would be wise to play this scenario out before it happens. So I'm going to leave a link. Stay tuned for a whole lot more. I'm going to be covering this drill on the ground. Going to be going over survival tactics all over the place and what we can do to stay sharp and stay on top of our game and make it through such an event. Because, like I said, it's not a question of if, but when. It's coming in the offing. Do not get caught slipping and looking the other way. This has been Dabu7. Good luck, y'all.